Hello, golfaholics, and welcome to the July 14th, 2020 edition of the Back Nine Report. We come to you live every week to bring you the latest golf news and information. We add our unique spin on what you need to know and why in the world of golf. Normally, my co-host, Carlos Torres, opens the show, but he's got an issue at home tonight. He's not going to be able to be with us. So I'm going to be going solo. You're stuck with just me tonight. Not to worry, I am a professional, and I slept in a Holiday Inn Express last night, so we should be good to go. So let's get to it, shall we? The BJ Tour is at Jack's Place in Columbus, Ohio for the second consecutive week for the Memorial, and it was the first sporting event since March that was supposed to be held with fans in attendance. But wait just a minute. There's been a change in plans. We're going to discuss that in more detail later in the show, so you don't want to miss that. Hang in there. It appears that professional golf is going to be fanless clear up until the FedEx Cup playoffs, maybe even. Anyway, this week in golf, what a finish at the Workday Charity Open at Muirfield last weekend. We're going to go in great detail into that. That was outstanding. It was a really wonderful golf tournament. The Ryder Cup officially postponed. Everybody knew this, but the announcement has now been made. It is official. They moved it off to next year. There's golf in Europe, by golly. They're back playing over there in a couple different places. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Plus, like I said, there's not going to be any fans in Columbus, but there is a tiger sighting this weekend. So we're going to talk about that. So let's get right to it. As always, we start off with the backspin section. And so the first of two PGA Tour events that are being held in Columbus, the Workday Charity Open was last weekend at Muirfield Village. Victor Hovland, Collin Morikawa, and Justin Thomas put on a show. The young kids were firing laser irons at the pins. It was great stuff. Muirfield greens, they were a little bit slow because they want to protect them for this week, so they had them a little slow, and that allowed them to put pin placements on steeper parts of the greens that guys normally aren't used to putting on, plus the slower speeds. A lot of putts were coming up short, especially the uphill putts on the first couple days. It was kind of ugly, actually. They were leaving them 2, 3, 4 feet short on some of those uphill putts because they're used to those greens being so much faster. Sunday's final round, what can I say? It was an epic battle. You had the young guys, Victor Hovland and Collin Morikawa, a couple 22-year-olds just getting their golf careers off to a great start, battling Justin Thomas, who is one of the top 5 best players in the world right now, without a doubt. Justin was playing well. He took a 2-shot lead into the final round on Sunday, but that soon evaporated with a couple of bogeys early on. Plus, the young guys were firing up pins and making birdies. So all of a sudden, Thomas finds himself tied or even behind Morikawa and Hovland. So he had to make up some ground. He did it later in the round. I'm going to talk about it some more a little bit. But oh, by the way, Brooks Koepka was at Columbus last week. First time he's ever been to Muirfield Village. You didn't hear much about him though. He struggled on Thursday to a 74. Wasn't doing much on Friday except looking to finish out the round and leave. But he got it going on the back 9, made 5 birdies over the last 7 holes, ended up just missing the cut by 1 shot. He was 1 under. The cut came at 2. So with that great finish on that back 9 on Friday, he went ahead, entered the Memorial this week. And so maybe that he caught fire. Maybe that would get him going, because I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get something going pretty good, he's not going to make the FedEx Cup. He's only played in a few events. You know, he had the bad knee. He's been out with injury. He's not been sharp since we came back. The tours came back, started playing again over the last 5 weeks. He's down around 150 in the FedEx Cup standings. So if he doesn't get something going, he is going to be watching the FedEx Cup from home. Muirfield also proved too much to handle for Brooks's little brother Chase Koepka, who was in the field. He shot 80-81 the first couple days, plus 17, missed a cut by a mile. Even though the greens were slower, it's still a tough place to play at Muirfield Village. Justin Thomas, a really good story here. He was trying for his 13th career victory. He's a young guy. He's only 27, and he's already got 13 career. Or, I'm sorry, he was trying for. He already has 12. He was trying for his 13th. Only 2 guys have 13 wins before they turn 30. Those 2 guys, I bet you can guess their names: Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. Justin Thomas was trying to join a very elite club there. He's going to get that 13th, probably pretty soon. He's playing really well. Wouldn't be surprised he wins this week at the Memorial because he knows the course. He has a lot of good vibes from the way he played last week. So Justin Thomas is one of the elite of the game, and he is really fun to watch. Victor Hovland. Oh, my goodness. This guy, we've been talking about Victor Hovland, Collin Morikawa, Matt Wolf, a couple of those guys out of Oklahoma State, and then Morikawa out of Cal. All came on the tour at the same time last summer after the NCAAs. They are 3 stars and really not really waiting to happen. They are stars in their own right now. Of course, Wolf and Morikawa have won before. Hovland has been close. He's getting closer all the time. He's got what it takes to win. He has made the cut, Hovland I'm talking about here, in all 5 events since the PGA Tour returned to action. And I think every round's been under par or par better. I'll say that. That is excellent consistency. That's what all pros are striving for, that level of consistency. If you're shooting par or better every round, you're going to make some pretty good money. He's going to win. It's going to happen. He's too good of a player. He played really well for 3 days. He played really well in the front 9 on Sunday, but when he jumped into the lead there for a little bit, I think the moment just got a little bit big for him, and his mind got ahead of him a little bit, and things happened, and he ended up falling down a little bit. But he'll learn from that. He's a player. There's no question about it. As I mentioned, Justin Thomas had a 2-shot lead beginning of the day, but Hovland and Morikawa caught him, I think, by the 4th hole. And we had a ball game. It was really turned out to be great. Rains in Columbus. It always rains this time of year in Columbus, right? That's why Jack had to move the Memorial to June, because it gets wet there. So rains made the green soft. They could just fire at the pins. Morikawa has to be one of the best iron players in the game, no matter what. I mean, he is just firing darts at these pins, having little short putts for birdies. It was really, really fun to watch. I watched pretty much every hole of the round on Sunday and watched those 3 guys especially. I really like Collin Morikawa. He's one of my favorites right now on tour, and he's a lot of fun to watch. Justin Thomas finally turned it around. He ran off a string of 4 birdies, 8, 9, 10, and 11, to get back into the lead. He made another at 14, then added an eagle at 15 after striping a 250-yard 5-wood. 250-yard 5-wood. It was just an absolute beautiful shot. He did struggle coming home, though. He made bogeys at the par 3 16th, which is a really difficult hole, and on 18 he made a bogey. And then Morikawa made the par, and so Morikawa was down 3 with 3 to go, and ends up going birdie par, ends up tying Thomas, and they go to a playoff. I got to say something about Morikawa's drive on 14. It was unbelievable. They moved a tee. They put a new tee in up short. So 14 is a par 4 with the creek running down across the fairway and all along the right side of the green. Everything slopes off the hill right down to that creek. It's a very long and narrow green. I think it's only like 8 yards wide in the front of that green. Morikawa hit driver to about 12 feet. It was an absolutely beautiful shot. Plays the cut, he plays a little fade off the driver, threw it up there in the air, faded right back in. The driver even hit soft on the front of the green, just rolled past the pin a little bit. Absolutely beautiful shot. If you're watching a tournament, you say, you know what, the guy should win right there. If he's got the guts to hit that shot, especially after Hovland had hit first and hit it in the water, and then Morikawa steps up and just drills this driver 308 yards on the green. It was an absolute thing of beauty. So as I mentioned, Morikawa was 3 down with 3 to go. Thomas came out of his iron shot just a little bit at the par 3, pushed it to the right side of the green. He had to go over a little bit of the fringe to get to it, so he had to chip it up in the air, left it a little bit long, missed the putt coming back, makes bogey. Morikawa calmly makes his par. He makes birdie on 17, and then 18, he played a textbook. Thomas again misses a drive to the right. He had trouble missing drives to the right on the back 9 a little bit, and then also in the playoffs, and that's what really hurt him down the stretch in that tournament. This was Thomas's to win. 3 up with 3 to go. You know, 9 times out of 10, Justin Thomas is going to get that done, but it didn't happen. That's golf. That's why we play the game. Collin Morikawa stuck in there, just kept grinding, you know, hole after hole. He catches him, gets it done in the playoff. The playoff, I'm telling you, it was a thing of beauty all by itself. Morikawa, by catching him on those last 3 holes, he definitely had the momentum. They played 18 twice. The first time was off the charts. Thomas hits his drive up on the hill, way up on the hill to the right on 18. He digs an iron out of there. Of course, it's off the side of the hill, so it's got some right to left on it, and it's hot, so it hits the green, rolls clear to the back left corner of the green, some 50 feet away from the hole. Morikawa hits it down the fairway, knocks it on the green. He's got a 24-foot putt downhill. Well, Justin Thomas steps up and drains this 50-footer, right? Big breaking left to right. I probably broke maybe 4 or 5 feet going. It's downhill, left to right. Really, really difficult putt. A putt you could putt off the green, actually. It's that hard, okay? And he makes the putt. But then Morikawa, he's a young kid. You know, he doesn't show any tension. He doesn't show any dejection. He says, okay, I got to make this. Steps up there, bang, knocks it right in the hole. So birdie. They go to the second playoff. They both tie that. They go over to number 10 to play the third playoff hole. Again, Thomas misses his drive a little bit to the right, dead stymied behind a little tree, probably only about this big around, but I mean, he is just dead stymied behind it and has to chip out, makes bogey. Morikawa makes a par and ends up winning it. So it was just an outstanding tournament from start to finish. This was supposed to be the John Deere Classic week. Of course, that was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They end up having consecutive tournaments at Muirfield Village. This was the first one, and it was a dandy. So Justin Thomas gets the runner-up finish, and it moves him ahead of Bryson DeChambeau for the top spot in the FedEx Cup right now. This was by far the most enjoyable tournament that I have watched this year. I love Morikawa. Hovland is beginning to make waves, and Justin Thomas is really playing solid. You could bet on him almost every week, and you're probably going to be ahead because he is really, really playing well right now. Let's move across the pond over the European Tour. We haven't heard much out of those guys. They've been taking a respite over there, but they started the Challenge Tour back up, and so they're doing a thing. Challenge Tour and European Tour are kind of joint sanctions. So they're doing some tournaments on the continent, and they're doing some tournaments in England. And they had a tournament in the Austrian Open. They held it last weekend. Mark Warren won that. It was his first win for 6 years. It was his fourth title, but he hadn't won for 6 years on the European Tour. And the other thing is, I didn't see any of it, but I saw some pictures. He carried his own bag. No caddy, carried his own bag. He said he would have loved to have the caddy. There were some times out there when he just needed somebody to talk to and somebody to bounce some ideas off of and help with yardages and things. But he carried his own bag, got it done. He said, carrying my bag this week probably helped tone it down a little, just going out and playing and seeing what happens. The result couldn't have been better. It's been different playing without a caddy the first time since 2005. So 15 years before he's always had a caddy. Hopefully this is a one and only time, and he doesn't want to carry again. It worked out okay, but he's not going to do it again. Got to take a drink, take a break. A little scratchy throat here this evening. On the Korn Ferry Tour, they were in San Antonio for the San Antonio Challenge at the Canyons, and that's at TPC San Antonio. They're playing for a $600,000 purse. David Lipsky got to win. We have been talking about David Lipsky for a few years. He went over to Europe and grounded out over there. He's had 2 wins in Asia, 2 wins in Europe. This was his first win on American soil. Although it was the Korn Ferry Tour, it's still a win, and so good for him. A little note here on David Lipsky. He went to school in LA, graduated from the same high school that Collin Morikawa graduated from. So evidently they have pretty good golf teams at this high school in Los Angeles. If you've got guys winning on the Korn Ferry Tour and on the PGA Tour that came out of that same high school. We also had a big celebrity golf tournament this weekend. I don't know if you guys really get excited about celebrity golf, but it's kind of fun to watch maybe once a year, which, that's when they have this American Century Celebrity Classic thing out in Lake Tahoe. Marty Fish, who is a former tennis player, won this year. Fish has been a Davis Cup captain. He won 6 ATP titles during his playing career. More interesting maybe was the fact that an NFL defensive lineman, Kyle Williams, who was a member of the Buffalo Bills defensive line for 13 years, weighed in at nearly 300 pounds. He finished runner-up. Yeah, I know. I don't, he might challenge Fish to a wrestling match or something for the championship. I don't know. I don't think I'd mess with that guy. John Smoltz, we know him, former Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame pitcher, really good golfer as well. Has played in some Korn Ferry Tour events and different things around. Captured 3rd. Steph Curry, the great basketball player for Golden State, was 4th. He's a serious player, guys. Former winner of this event, Tony Romo, we know who he is. He does the CBS football announcing, also tries to play a little golf. He had to withdraw after the second round, actually, with a wrist injury. He hurt his wrist. Had to withdraw, so we didn't get a number from him. I know everyone is dying to know how Charles Barkley finished, right? Well, he wasn't last, and I did see Charles hit one shot, actually. I caught his 18th hole. It wasn't pretty, but he didn't have that little stutter that he used to have. At least he got through the ball and hit it. He had a birdie putt, actually. He made the green, had a birdie putt, missed it, made par. But Charles did not finish last. He was 69th out of a 70-man field. So Charles always has a good time there. Fun-loving guy, enjoys playing this thing. All the money went to charity from it. So the guys do a good job. All the celebrities that go in there. You want to know who was last? This really pains me to tell you this, okay? Because you know what a Buckeye I am. But Eddie George, a great running back from Ohio State. And also for Tennessee and the NFL for many, many years, he ends up last, number 70. Sorry, Eddie, had to report that. Other familiar names in the field that you've probably heard of: John O'Hurley, the guy from Seinfeld, Steve Young, the former the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, Ray Romano, the comedian, Doug Flutie, Greg Maddux, Roger Clemens, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how he probably had to take a separate cart for his wallet with that $450 million in it that he just got. And Larry the Cable Guy, the famous comedian, was in the field. So they always have a good time out there in Lake Tahoe. It's always a fun event. Guys play, and they give a lot of money to charity, so it's a good deal. You know what? There's some women's golf going on. The LPGA hasn't started back up yet, but they're getting ready to in another couple of weeks. But in Korea, they're playing. And so they had the East-West tournament at Busan, the East-West Busan Open. And it actually got so much rain. It rained out the last round. They had a couple players tied after 54 holes at the top of the leaderboard, and they ended up just having a little sudden death playoff. And you got Park, Hung Kyung Park won over Hee Young Lim in the playoff. Last month, you may remember, Park got her first win in just her second season of professional in Korea, in the Korean LPGA, which is one of their majors. So she kind of validates that win with a second win now. And so when they come back over to the United States, this is somebody we got to watch. And I know Carlos always likes to watch these young players to see who's going to be Rookie of the Year. So I would think this young lady is going to have to be high on his list. Young Kung Kyung Park is her name, HK Park. Another young player that we got to keep our eye on, and even another young Korean player. They just keep turning them out over there. Also, the Cactus Tour down in Arizona, because there's no LPGA or Symmetric Tour action going on. The ladies that live down in Arizona, they're playing some little small mini tour events down there. The Cactus Tour has had some pretty good names win down there this year. Haley Moore. This is somebody we've kind of been watching. She had a fantastic amateur career. She won 5 times as an amateur. She was a member of the 2015 Junior Solheim Cup team. She was a member of the 2018 NCAA champion Arizona women's golf team. She earned her LPGA Tour card last year by finishing 11th at LPGA Q School. She is definitely a player, somebody you're going to want to watch as well. Haley Moore won a Cactus Tour event down in Arizona last week. Also over in England, if you remember, we reported a few weeks ago that Justin Rose and his wife were funding a series of tournaments for young professional golfers in England, for women professional golfers in England. And they've held 4 of those events so far. Just want to recap those. Charlie Hall, who we've known for a long time, won one of them. Megan McLaren and Gemma Dreibach won twice. So she's having a good start. She's from Scotland, and she held off Charlie Hall and Georgia Hall for her win last week, actually. So she's beating some really good names over there in England right now. And the next time we're going to see her is in Toledo, Ohio. She's coming over. She's going to sit out 2 weeks, do her quarantine in Texas. Then she's going to be playing in the Drive On Championship at Inverness here in 2 weeks. And then the following week at the Marathon Classic at Highland Meadows in Toledo. She won last week at Royal St. George's, which was supposed to be the site of the Open Championship, which was canceled, which would have been held this week, actually. And she's had some success there in the past. She's competed in the 2014 British Ladies Amateur. She's been on Curves Cup team. So Dryball is another young player that we got to keep our eye on. So they just keep coming from all parts of the world, it's truly an amazing thing. I'll tell you, if you're a veteran on the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, the European Tour, you gotta be constantly looking over your back, over your shoulder, because these young kids are just coming. They want to win. They're fearless. They just fire at pins, knock in putts. It's tough to beat them. That kind of wraps up our backspin section for tonight. And so, as always, we want to talk about the upcoming events in our 4-call segment of the show. And I mentioned it earlier, so it's the Memorial this week. The Memorial is normally played the first week of June, but it got moved forward because of the pandemic. It now is taking the place of the slot that would have been the Open Championship this week. It'll be the second week in a row that the PGA Tour has been at Muirfield Village. But it's not going to be like last week. The greens are going to be a lot faster. They're going to be up around 14, okay? The pins are going to be in little flatter spaces. They're not going to be on those steep slopes like they were on last week because the greens were a little slower. It hasn't been raining as much. The golf course should be a little bit drier, a little bit more firm, faster. That's the way Jack wants it. Another thing this week is Jack announced today that he's not really afraid of COVID. He's going to be on that 18th green and shake the hand of whoever the winner is coming off on Sunday afternoon. So kudos to Jack for that. Interesting matchup this week. Here's a pairing that you're not going to want to miss. Tiger Woods, Brooks Koepka, and Rory McIlroy. How's that for a marquee billing right there? You got to set your DVRs Thursday, Friday. You're not going to want to miss that. That should be some really good stuff. All on Muirfield Village. It just doesn't get any better. And you know, one of the things I've noticed, since there's no crowds with the TV cameras there, you get to see more of the golf course. It's kind of nice. You get to see through the roughs, under the trees. You know, you get to see more of the layout, and it's kind of interesting actually. So you know, kind of pay attention to that. There's some really good stuff there at Muirfield Village. Also this week going to be happening at the Memorial. They announced yesterday that they're going to have a charity skins event. You know, they can't have any pro-ams, so the charities really get hammered. So they're going to have a charity skins event, and it's going to include John Rahm paired with Tony Finau as partners, playing against Ian Poulter, the Buckeyes, and Graham McDowell, GMAC. And they're going to be playing skins against each other. They're going to be trying to raise $1 million for charity. Matter of fact, the 12th hole alone is worth $1 million if somebody happens to get a hole in one. All funds are going to be generated to the Nationwide Children's Hospital. It's going to be contested over the back nine of Muirfield Village. So we all know what's back there. The 12th, I hope they leave the tee up at 14, so those guys will be, you know, enticed to go for that green with the driver. You've got the tough 16th back there. What's not to like? It's the back nine of Muirfield Village, pretty good stuff. So should be fun. It's going to be contested 2 to 4 on Wednesday. So it'll be on PGA Tour social medias. It's going to be on the Golf Channel and also Golf TV. If you're outside the United States, you can pick it up on that. So don't want to miss that. Also, you can help with that if you want to donate to that. There's going to be a GoFundMe charity page. You can also go you can text Help Kids to 41-411 during the challenge to donate. I'm sure they'll be putting it up on the screen where you can go to give them money. So you want to watch for that. Okay, that wraps up the Memorial preview this week. We got more golf on the European Tour this week. They're staying in Austria for the Urim Bank Open. That's E-U-R-E-M, Urim Bank Open. They're still in Austria. Normally event on the Challenge Tour, but as I said earlier, because of COVID, they're just trying to play tournaments anywhere. They're all jointly sanctioned, European Tour and Challenge Tour together. So you're going to see some guys from the continent that can get over there and play and not worry about so much about traveling airplanes and things like that. This tournament was first played in 2018, so it's a relatively new event. I don't know that it's on TV anywhere over here, but just want to let you know that there is golf in Europe going on right now. The Corn Ferry Tour is staying in San Antonio. So like Columbus, the Corn Ferry Tour was in San Antonio last week. They're staying there. They're just going on the other side of the property. It's still TPC at San Antonio. They're playing the Oaks course this week, which is the same course they play the Valero Texas Open on. Very good golf course. You've got Will Zalatoris, who is, Carlos loves this guy, been talking him up, picked him to win a couple weeks ago, and by golly, he did up in Colorado. And so he took a week off, and this week he's going to play down in San Antonio, so he's got to be a favorite. Another guy that I know that Carlos really likes is Dylan Wu is in the field this week. So we're still a couple weeks away from the LPGA Tour and the Champions Tour returning, but it's going to be happening pretty soon. But we've got a lot of golf going on around the world. We just talked about a couple of them. You know, things are ramping back up in Europe. The ladies are playing over there on the Rose Tour. You got the European Tour playing in England here pretty quick. They're also playing over on the continent. We're getting closer to the PGA Championship, so it's going to be fun to see what European guys come over to play in that, as well as possibly the WGC at Memphis here in a week or two. So a lot of great golf coming up, and we're getting ever closer to the FedEx Cup playoffs. And anybody that's even close to that is going to want to be playing the next few weeks to try and better their status so they get the big bonus from the FedEx Cup playoffs. Before we get to our next segment, I want to mention just real quickly, let's talk about Boyne for a minute. I happened to be up there last week. Everything is absolutely gorgeous up there right now. The weather's perfect. Courses are beautiful. All three resorts are top shelf. Everything is ready to go. You will be so happy with everything there. It's the perfect time to visit Boyne Resorts in northern Michigan. 10 fantastic golf courses, 3 luxurious spas, hiking, biking, zip lining, a water park for the kids, plus much, much more. Boyne has something for the entire family. Everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's going to love it there. Plus northern Michigan, Lake Michigan, Little Traverse Bay, nothing better. You're just a short drive over to Mackinac Island. You want to take a day trip to there. You're just a short drive up to the Mackinac Bridge if you want to take a drive over and drive into the UP for a little while. Really good stuff up there. Plus, they're offering some great savings right now on rooms and different things that you can get packages there for stay and play. So visit BoyneGolf.com. That's BOYNE golf.com for your next golf getaway or family vacation. Tell them Back Nine Reports sent you. Okay, so all that stuff's out of the way. Now, let's get to some news items. As always, a lot of news going on in the golf world, not only with the COVID-19 pandemic, you got tournaments movement, all kinds of different things happening. So the top story this week is that the Ryder Cup officially postponed to 2021. So because that happened, that pushes the President's Cup out to 2022. Now we're back on where it was to begin with. If you remember, back in 9/11, the Ryder Cup was scheduled to go off, and they end up going to even years. They canceled for a whole year, so they went the next year, which pushed the President's Cup off to the odd year. Well, now we're going to be back on sequence again. We're pushing the Ryder Cup back to the odd year, and the President's Cup will be back in the even years. It's a tough decision. You know, it just, you couldn't have the fans there. They're not going to have fans there, and if they can't have fans, they don't want to have the tournament. I understand it. I get it. It's just too big of an event to just kind of cobble it together and just play it. It just doesn't work for that. Besides, it's an exhibition. It's not a real, you know, man-on-man tournament. It's match play and it's team against team, but it's for funsies. It's like you play for you get together with your buddies and play. Yeah, they get money for their charities and all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure they pocket some of it, but it's not for the $1 million they're playing for every week or $2 million they're playing for every week on these tours. So they tried everything. They talked to infectious disease experts. They talked to the CDC. They talked to the Broad Institute. They talked to scientists. They talked to the governor of Wisconsin. They talked to the county of Sheboygan, where the Whistling Straits sits. The tour, the European tour, the PGA. Everybody was consulted in this thing, and they've been talking. You know, Seth Wall, who is the president of the PGA, had the final call. He did not want to do this. Nobody wanted to postpone this thing, but it just had to. That just had to happen. What are we going to do with football season this fall? You know, the Big Ten's already said, you know, they're just going to play in the league. They're not going to play anybody outside. I don't know how that's going to help, but maybe because they're going to take buses and not planes. I don't know. But this Ryder Cup, it just brought too many people from different parts of the world. It couldn't be played with fans. It just wasn't going to work. So unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. Jay Monahan, who is the commissioner of the PGA Tour, said of the move of the President's Cup to 2022. We are confident the move will give us even more runway as we bring the President's Cup to Charlotte in 2022. I think he's just kind of being polite there. I don't think he's real excited about moving it out another year. Bear in mind, folks, that these two things, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, generate millions of dollars for the people that own them. In the case of the Ryder Cup, the PGA and the European Tour. The European Tour would be broken out of business without the income they get from the Ryder Cup. The PGA Tour solely owns the President's Cup, but it brings in millions, like the PGA Tour needs to make more millions, right? But it is a big deal. It's a lot of money, and they don't want to have to postpone it, but oh well, that's the way it is this year. The Women's British Open is going to be played. We didn't think they were going to play it. They canceled the Men's Open Championship, but they're going to hold the Women's British Open, and it's going to be played at Troon, which great golf course. It's going to be played from the 20th to the 23rd of August. They've, of course, all health and safety protocols will be enforced. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of masks on the screen. You know, the PGA Tour seems to be getting along great, just playing with no fans, and the caddies, everybody seems to be fine. They're doing a lot of testing. So it's working. There were some cases early. There haven't been a lot of talk lately. I think they're getting those kind of problems taken care of. Guys see how important it is, so they're taking better care of themselves. They're watching what they do, and they're being more careful. It will be the first women's major championship to be played this year. Normally we've got the ANA, we've got the LPGA championship, you know, we've got the women's PGA. So this is going to be a big deal. Now, I don't think they're going to have all the people there that they want, because the American ladies aren't going to go over there just to play in like the Scottish Open and then play in the women's British for a couple of weeks. They're not going to waste a whole month to play a couple of events. I can't see that happening. So you're going to have probably just a lot of European Tour, ladies European Tour players playing in it. But still, that's Charlie Hall, that's Georgia Hall, a lot of really good names there. I'm sure it will be fun to watch. I'll be looking forward to it, but you're not going to probably have some of the big names in the United States over there. Let's see, what do we got next here? We got some more. After all, this is a par 5 news, so we got to have a little bit more, right? This story, I really don't even want to talk about it. I'm sure you probably read about it. You probably heard about it. Just going to go through it real briefly. It just almost makes me sick to my stomach. I did when I read it, for sure. 8 people, including PGA Club Pro Sean Fredrickson, and 3 children were killed when 2 planes collided over Lake Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. The lake was full of people for the 4th of July, a lot of boating, a lot of swimming, and these 2 planes just ran into each other over the lake, crashed down in the lake. Everybody was killed in the 2 planes. Really, really a bad thing. Fredrickson was the president of the Pacific Northwest PGA section. He's the pro at Oswego Lake Country Club. It's kind of located in the southern portion of Portland. So really, really a bad deal. He was kind of a guy that was on the rise in the PGA, probably would have been a future president of the PGA of America, but really, really unfortunate. 3 of his children were on the plane with him, and they were killed as well. It's just a really unfortunate thing. All the best to their families. That's really, really horrible. One more news item that I've got here for you tonight. I guess I got 2. The WGC FedEx St. Jude, you know, that's an invite-only deal, and it's no cut deal. So it's a big money grab for all the top players. You got to be in the top 50 in the world normally. You got to be a Ryder Cup member. You got to be you know, all these top things. You got to be a major championship winner to get in this field, right? Well, they don't know if the European guys that are top players are going to come over to compete And so they put in a clause that if the European players fail to come over and they can't fill out the 78-player field, they're going to take some guys outside the top 50. So the policy board, the PGA Tour policy board, ruled that a one-time exemption for the event of players beyond the top 50 in the world rankings if the field is less than 78 players. Current qualification includes players inside the top 50 in the world March 16th when the rankings were frozen. So we've got the rankings frozen and they've started back up, but they're not right because the European players aren't playing. It's kind of a big mess. So they had to do this to make sure they could fill out the field. It's just a one-time clause. So they are going to have 78 players, but you know, they might not all be from the top 50 in the world. Last news item tonight, the RNA creates some programming to replace the Open Championship this week. As I mentioned earlier, the Open Championship was supposed to be played at Royal St. George's this week, and the Memorial Course is taking its place. But they've had some guys put together some pulled film of old Open Championships at St. Andrews over the years, and they're playing it like they're playing against each other. So you might have Seve playing against Rory, for example. So it should be kind of interesting. The name of the show is, let me see, it's from over the last 50 years. The name of the show is The Open for the Ages. You can find it on their YouTube TV channel. So if you look for the Open Championship or the RNA, I'm not sure which one, on YouTube TV, you should be able to find this. It's going to be playing later this week. You know, like I say, you could have Jordan Spieth playing John Daly, maybe, who knows, or Greg Norman. You know, you got Peter Thompson, Tom Watson, that have won the Open Championship multiple times. So they're going to say, well, who's the best Open Championship player? Peter Thompson won 5. You got Tom Watson won 5. Harry Vardon, I think, won 6. So Harry Vardon probably a little bit before TV era, so you probably won't see much of Harry. But it should be kind of interesting. If you get a chance, you might want to look this up and watch it. It's a 3-hour broadcast. It's going to start 11 a.m. on Sunday, July the 19th. So it will be on digital, and like I say, you can probably find it on YouTube TV. All right, that wraps up the Par 5 news for this evening. I'm just going to real briefly, you know, as we always do, we do a topic, we do a practice range. And for Carlos and I this evening, we had picked the topic, were the PGA Tour's right to ask for no fans at the Memorial this week? So I want to get into that just real briefly. Jack Nicklaus, Tournament Director Dan Sullivan, all the staff at Muirfield Village and the Memorial Tournament had worked very closely with government officials, the state, the boards of health, to make sure that they were doing everything possible to assure the safety of the players, the fans, the staff, and the volunteers. They had state-of-the-art technology they were going to use to make sure crowds were not congregating in one area. They were going to use little chips on the badges so they could watch where the crowds were from the control room. If there was a problem, they were going to go out and disperse those crowds, make them spread out a little bit. They were going to check everybody before they came into the grounds. If you had a fever, you weren't getting out of the parking lot. You're not getting on the grounds. I know that doesn't assure somebody doesn't come through that doesn't have a fever that might have been infected and could be contagious. So that's where the crux of the problem lies, right? And the players were not, they're comfortable playing without fans right now. They can take care of themselves away from the golf course. They feel good about that. But they're not comfortable playing in front of a bunch of fans, yelling, screaming, shouting, all that kind of thing. So some guys went to Jack, some important guys went to Jack and said, hey, we're just not comfortable playing in front of fans. This is working with no fans. We don't want fans in the Memorial. If you have fans in Memorial, we're not coming. So it's no you know, it's not a coincidence that Tiger Woods finally signed up for the Memorial a couple days after they announced they wouldn't have fans. It's no coincidence that Brooks Koepka signed up for the Memorial a couple days after they announced that they wouldn't have fans there. So you've got some big names that went to Jack and said, you know what, we just don't want the fans. We don't feel safe, and we're not going to play. So for the sake of television and to guarantee a really strong field at the Memorial, the PGA Tour took the brunt of it, and they said, well, we're just not going to have fans now through the rest of the season, clear out to the playoffs. So it's really the players, though, that forced this issue and didn't want it. Were they right? This is their job, right? They make a lot of money because a lot of golf fans in the United States will buy golf clubs, will pay for golf memberships, will pay green fees, will buy golf gloves, golf shoes, golf shirts to go play the game because they see these guys doing it and they like to go watch them do it live when they're in their community. Yeah, they can watch it on TV. It's good stuff, but they want to go see them live. They want to see them hit that 300-some yard drive, right? They want to see Bryson DeChambeau launch it out there 365. They say, oh, yeah, I can do that. A couple more beers in me, I can do that. Yeah, right. Well, this is their job. Yeah, there is some risk. Do they want to take the chance of getting this and then dragging it home to their family, to their kids, to their wives, maybe to their parents who have to live with them or close to them? So that's the crux of this whole thing, right? I don't know. I can't tell you whether right or wrong. This is what they did. I do feel a little bit like we're letting the fear of this thing dictate too much of our lives. I don't like it myself. I have chosen to kind of live my life, be careful with what I do, but not get carried away and let it keep me from doing some of the things that I really want to do. I'm not going to become a hermit. I'm not going to just live in my house and order my groceries in and wash every bag down and every box down before I put it in the cupboard. It's not going to happen. So we've had a statement from the PGA Tour. You know, we're seeing golf. We're seeing great golf on television. We're getting to see these great golf courses. My last comment is that this was going to be, the Memorial was going to be the first sporting event of any kind that would have fans. Not the NBA, not Major League Baseball, not the NHL, you know, nothing. Okay, this was going to be the first. The PGA Tour could have made a huge statement to the rest of the country. Hey, we're going about our lives. You know, we're going to get through this. This is something that's going to work. You know, baseball is going to be coming back. Maybe football is going to be coming back. We're going to have our stuff back. We're a leader in this. We're taking charge. We're doing it. They kind of whiffed on that. I'm not sure this sends the right message to the rest of the world and to the rest of sports. I think golf could have been a leader here, and they chose to sit back and not take the leading role. So that's the part that I'm not real fond of, that I'm not a fan of. I don't mind it. I'm going to watch it anyhow. I love Muirfield Village. I love Jack Nicklaus. He's my guy. You got to love the Buckeyes, right? And Jack is a real true Buckeye. I wish they would have had the fans. They had gone to great lengths to try to keep everybody safe. I wish they would have tried it. From a charity standpoint, without these fans, without playing these pro-ams and all this stuff, that's where this charity money comes from. You know, the PGA Tour brags about having $2 billion in donations over its history. That's where this money comes from. It's from all those guys that pay $5 grand, $10 grand to be in those pro-ams. They're not having any of those. The charities are losing. I read a number the other day, $122 million this year just from the PGA Tour alone that charities are losing out from. That's a lot of money, folks. So if you're in a position to help out some of your local charities or charities you know that normally get money from an LPGA Tour event, from a PGA Tour event, open up your pocketbook, try to help them out a little bit because they're going to be really struggling for the next year or so. because a lot of this money just isn't there that they normally have. Here's Jay Monahan's statement on the no tournaments. Given the broader challenges communities are facing due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, we need to stay focused on the #1 priority for our return to golf, the health and safety of all involved. While this was a difficult decision, it was one made collectively, and we appreciate the process undertaken to this point that will allow us to welcome on-site fans when the time is right. So I'm sure Jay's not real happy about not having fans. If the players don't want them, that's what you got to deal with, because the players, if you ain't got the players, you ain't got nothing, right? The 3M Championship coming up, the PGA Championship, they've already said they're not having fans. So it was just the Memorial this week that was going to give it a go, but not to be. So that's where we're at this week. We're going to have the Memorial. We're not going to see fans tramping around. We saw Muirfield last week with no fans. We're going to see it again this week, and all the big names are going to be there, except maybe some of the Europeans are not going to be there. That kind of wraps up the practice range. I want to just a couple real quick final putts here tonight. We've got more bad college news. The Ivy League canceled all fall sports, and I know you say the Ivy League. Well, those people are all brainiacs anyhow. Now they play serious sports there, and the kids play sports because they love the sport. Yeah, they are tremendous students in addition to that, but they like their sports in the Ivy League, and to cancel all that, I'm sure was a major decision. Dartmouth, in addition, dropped all men's and women's golf programs. They're going to even close their golf course, which that's really a big move. Second item in the final putts tonight, Texas Golf Hall of Fame announced their 2020 class. There's been some great golfers come out of Texas. I can name you just two real quick: Byron Nelson, Ben Hogan. You don't need anybody else after that, right? I mean, those are, but the list goes on and on and on. So you've got Angela Stafford, Hank Caney, who was a great amateur, played professional golf for a long time. His sister played. His other brother, Trip Caney, also played. He's a great amateur player. Vern Lundquist, the great announcer, is going to be inducted in Texas Hall of Fame. You got Mike Riley, Dow Finsterwald Jr., and then you're going to have the Oak Hills Country Club added to the Texas Registry of Historic Golf Courses. So great history of golf in Texas, great golfers down there. They announced their Texas Golf Hall of Fame honorees. So that kind of wraps up the show for July 14th, 2020. I'm sure Carlos may be on vacation for a couple weeks. May have Kieran next week. I'm going to have somebody. I'm not going to be doing it by myself. I won't put you through that again. I'm sorry. I apologize for any inconvenience to you. I hope we were able to bring you a little bit of golf news tonight. Hope we brought you maybe brought a smile to your face. I know we all need that in these times when seems like everything we go to do is a problem. We urge you to look at Ohio Golf Journal. We urge you to look at Michigan Golf Journal. We also do Back Nine Report TV on YouTube. Check those out. Until next week, golf fans, we want you to be healthy, be safe, wash those hands, wear those masks, get out and play a little golf, and I hope we see you on the Back Nine. So good night, golf fans.